you do annual soil test or every other year. Pretty frequent soil testing, okay? Good practice. If you're not doing it, I would strongly encourage you to do that. A basic test is $10, and it can make you a lot of money or it can cost you a lot of money if you don't do that. The way it can make you money is if you put in the crop that we're fertilizing and you give us a yield gold, we can tell you what and how much of each fertilizer that you need to apply to attain that. Now, the only limiting factor there is the water. We have no control over that. If I could control that, I wouldn't be standing here tonight, I promise you. But I base all the yield golds that I do soil test on average rainfall for our area and average yield gold for our crops. Like Bermuda grass, I usually do about 3 tons. I can do a little more if you've got some sub-irrigated places. The fertility just goes up. If you get one of those. Now, most of y'all know that every time we do a soil test, that nitrogen's depleted. Unless you followed some alfalfa or some other legume, then you might have a little bit stored up. That nitrogen is going to be calling for a lot. So the only thing that I watch is once we start exceeding 300 pounds of urea to the acre, I'm probably going to tell you to do it in split applications. You just can't pile on that much without first grazing for half the summer or taking a hay crop off and then going back and applying the second half depending on the moisture. So phosphorus and potash, we're about 3 hours into a drought. Everybody agree? We don't know when the next one's coming and we don't know how long it's going to be here. So some of you weathered the storm 11, 12, and 13 when it got really tough. And there's a lot of familiar faces in here that were quite long in those days because of the situation that we were facing. Even in those dry years, when you do apply some fertilizer, you get better utilization of that water. So when we get in the middle of July and August and you think, no, I don't want to apply that, OSU has done the research, and it is old research. It has been done for years and years. Unfertilized Bermuda takes 20 inches of water to grow a ton. Fertilized Bermuda takes 4 inches of water to grow a ton. So it's a significant difference. I'm not saying you might not go out there and give it the full shot, but I would encourage you, especially in dry conditions, if we do approach some of those. I know we've banked a lot of water, and that we've got a lot stored up, and that's great. Best conditions we've had in some time. But phosphorus and potash is critical for a lot of grass stands. That is the energy and the gas and the oil that gets it so we can sustain those stands of grass and keep them going. The nitrogen, that's just the fuel additive right there. It just keeps gas in it. Jumps your protein, a lot more top growth, but the phosphorus and potash is storing the energy in that root zone and building more root zone for us to make it during harsh conditions. Please do not short the phosphorus and potash. Now I want to back up just a little bit. Being in Payne County, and I've had the experience of doing these soil tests a little over 24 years now, predominant soils in Payne County running about 5.5 to 5.8, maybe 5.9 in pH. If you have hay meadows that are in the mid, maybe upper 5s, and you continue to remove that forage, you're mining those elements off. There's nothing going back to the ground. You're mining all that off. You're removing that, and that pH is dropping. At 5.5, Bermuda grass does not perform. It just kind of sits there. You can throw out the fertilizer, and you might see a little green up with the nitrogen, but you didn't get a whole lot of growth. The phosphorus and potash that you put out is being tied up by aluminum. It's not even available to the plant. So the majority of the money you spent on your fertility did nothing. We have to fix the pH or the fertilizer does not, the grass does not respond to the fertilizer that you apply. Everybody understand? I would encourage you to do that. Let's adjust the pH. We can do the phosphorus, potash, and nitrogen. We can get that right. If the moisture comes, we can grow you grass. That is a very true statement. Now, I know also that in the past few years we've seen fluctuations of fertilizer prices, and sometimes it goes out of this world. And I've had people tell me, all right, I can't afford to fertilize like that, so I'm going to cut it all in half. I would encourage you not to do that. I'm not saying you've got to spend all that money. Pick out your best ground and fertilize it fully, and take your lowest quality ground and do not fertilize that. But do not spare on your most productive ground. You'll get greater returns. It will produce you more. You know it does because you know where the high producing areas are. Fertilize it fully, shorten it up on the poor ground. I would like to see it at 5.7, 5.8. Now, when you do a soil test with me, the soil lab is going to say, here's what it takes to get back to a 6.8. Do you have to do that in 1 year? No, you don't. But you can do it a piece at a time, because I know how expensive that lime can be, and some people just can't afford to do it all at one time and still put on the fertility that they need to grow the grass that they need to produce. Some preliminary research we've seen, a lot of the liquid applications are only an 1/8 to 1/4 inch depth, whereas your granulated pelleted forms, your ag lime, the pelleted form of ag lime that Stillwater Mill or some of the co-ops might sell, you're going to get deeper than that. The liquid form is going to be a foliar application. You will see a response, but as far as the depth and how far that calcium application goes, right now it's not seemed to be going that deep. And I probably can't go beyond that because there's not a lot of research done that says how deep it does go. Fair? Okay. So I've had people call me up. I've turned in a soil test. I've sent them back, apply this many pounds of urea, this many pounds of DAP, this many pounds of 60 per acre. And they say, oh, I can't do that. I can either spray or I can fertilize. And I understand. Some of these chemicals, they do great jobs. A lot of them cost a lot of money. If you are in a situation and you're unable to do both, always kill the weeds. Always kill the weeds. A pound of weeds could have been a pound of grass. Kill the weeds first. If you're just going to fertilize, you're just going to fertilize the weeds. They're going to rob that much more for you. Kill the weeds first.